We have been talking about for several months about bringing to you something a little bit different. Of course, Fringe Radio has been on the air we're in our 4th year of broadcasting, and we have talked about paranormal and fringy subjects and ufology and science fiction, and we have decided that we need to add a little something new to the lineup, and it's an idea that we've been working on for a couple of years, and we just had to find the right people, and we did find the right people. And I hope we did. No, we found the right people, and we have the last Saturday of every month, we are going to present to you our show, or their show, called G.A.M.E, which stands for Game and Movie Empire. There's a new website coming. We'll talk about that a little bit. That'll be launching here in December. We're going to talk about gaming, movie reviews, all kinds of different stuff. Two great gentlemen that I had the honor to meet and work with now are Arthur and Alex. Alex Watson, his 3 major things that make him happy in his life: comedies, movies, and video games. Ever since he can remember making people laugh, watching movies, and trying to beat Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the NES always seemed to make him feel good. Yeah. Waddy McFly, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's just a nickname.
Watt McFly has been involved with the improv since 2005, and he's gone on to do workshops with amazing improv teachers that have taught such greats as Steve Carell, Tina Fey, Chris Farley, and many, many more. He enjoys making short films on his YouTube channel, as well as gameplay videos. His favorite video game is the Grand Theft Auto series, or most anything done by Rockstar, as well as the Legend of Zelda series. Favorite movies include Guardians of the Galaxy, Rushmore, Fight Club, Dumb and Dumber, Hot Rod, Magnolia Snatch, Reservoir Dogs, Jaws, Jurassic Park, and the list goes on and on. But his favorite movie of all time is Back to the Future. He would like to thank his mother, or she would kill him otherwise, all his friends and family who have supported him, Utah Gamers Facebook forum, on the Facebook forum, and his friend Bradford Garrison. His partner, Arthur Kemp, is self-taught filmmaker and photographer. You can find him behind the camera filming videos and shorts with J-Watt Productions, but sometimes you'll see him in front of the camera or acting on stage as well. He comes from a large family and was born and raised in Salt Lake City, Utah. He enjoys watching movies, playing video games, and other nerdy pastimes, and is quite proud of his extensive collection of movies and video games. His favorite movies include Star Wars, Gremlins, Aliens, V for Vendetta, Lord of the Rings, and Pacific Rim. Some of his favorite video games include Half-Life 2, Portal, Star Wars Jedi Outcast, Super Mario Galaxy, and Return to Castle Wolfenstein. He's passionate about his love of all nerdy things and enjoys discussing and sharing his opinions with those around him. That's why I brought these two guys in, is because, again, trying to talk about technology, and we're going to do just a lot of fun, cool things as we progress down the road here over the next several months. But with Comic-Con being so huge here in Salt Lake City, all over the world, really and truly, it's just amazing. Cosplayers and gamers and the kids of today, they really love this stuff. It kind of, I think it's the fantasy side for all of us that's out there, and it's just amazing what's there. So, without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to these guys. I'm going to be sitting here relaxing. I've got a ton of questions for our guest in studio tonight, but Arthur and Watson, I appreciate you being here and doing what you're doing, and we're looking forward to seeing G.A.M.E grow here with Fringe Radio. So go ahead and take it over, and I'll push the buttons and make sure that it all works for you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Pat.
Yeah, first we definitely want to say a big thank you to Pat from Fringe Radio. Without this, none of it would have happened. I mean, it was his idea. I mean, he's really pushed this and gone forward. So, I mean, we got to give a huge thanks to Pat over here at Fringe Radio.
Definitely. And thank you to everyone who may be listening for the first time, especially.
Oh, you've got plenty of listeners, trust me.
Well, it's our first show. So.
That's true.
You always get plenty of listeners. So.
I don't know.
Well, but we are very excited. So when Pat came to us and said, we want, he wants to do this show, and he wants us to think of a guest. there was only one person that, first came to my mind. So without further ado, I mean, we've talked about Arthur and I for enough, a long time. I'm very excited to have our very first guest on our show, local artist, one of my favorite artists, known him for quite a while. We want to introduce Chris Bodily. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing quite well. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome, Chris. So let's just kind of tell the people just a little bit about yourself, like what you do. And I know that's kind of hard to say as an artist. You just say you draw stuff. But tell us tell us a little bit about yourself and things like that.
Yeah. So I'm a professional artist / illustrator. I do my style's pretty cartoony. Pop surrealism, something along those lines. But my website is Hat Robot, and I'm represented by the Hive Gallery. And so essentially what I do is I make illustrations, and I do some commission work for bands or for movies or things like that. And then the other half of the time I go to Comic-Cons, I go to art festivals, I go to farmers markets, and I sell my work. I sell prints of my work. So that's me.
Awesome.
Also, we just wanted to say that Chris is going to be giving away some prints. We have some very nice prints here. Let's see.
Some awesome ones.
Chris gave me one when we came and gave me the opportunity to grab one, and his work is outstanding, unbelievable.
Thank you.
Definitely different, but different in a good way.
Thank you.
I mean, it shows. I'm no artist by any means, but the individuality of a person, and I want to thank you for what you gave to me. Beautiful, just beautiful stuff.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. When I started out, especially when I started going to the Comic-Cons, I didn't know if my work would fit in with the type of things that people were looking for. I don't do action comics or anything like that. I do. It's a little bit more surreal, a little bit more cartoony, but I found that was actually an asset for me when I started going to the conventions, because there wasn't a lot of stuff that I was competing with directly. Right. So,
well, in Comic-Con too, just in general, and get your guys' opinion, but it's a pretty new thing, and when we talk about Comic-Con, we have some listeners who'll say, well, what is Comic-Con, and what's it really all about? Is it a bunch of nuts running around dressed up in uniforms and stuff? Well, yeah, it is, without a doubt. But it's really, and you guys can definitely back me on this, or put your opinions in on it, it's about comic books kind of brought to reality. I mean, comic books have been around since when? The 20s? When did the first Superman, 1920, 1930? I don't know when they first started.
Yeah.
But it's all the things that have spun up from those pretty back in the day, pretty cheaply drawn little booklets that we would buy for a dime and a nickel and a quarter.
And now they're worth millions of dollars.
Yes.
Well, Stan Lee, when he originally started making comics, his name is Stanley, but he didn't want to use his real name on the comics because he wanted to preserve his good name for his real art.
That's awesome.
So is he an artist?
Yeah. He started out as an artist, and now he's he's
a billionaire
producer.
Artist.
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. Yeah, I think one of my favorite things about Comic-Con, and I mean, Chris has been my friend since college, but I mean, some of his biggest success has been coming from Comic-Con, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of talked about his art and how awesome it is and how it sticks out.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Arthur. I'm here with...
Oh, hey, I'm Waddy McFly. I'm here.
And we're here with Chris Bodily, who we are interviewing today. He's been telling us all about his art. First thing we wanted to say is he's going to be giving away a few of his prints. So those of you that want to call in and ask him a question and go ahead and like him on Facebook, and then at the end of the show, we will announce the winners for that.
And what was that phone number again, Pat?
801-254-5855.
Cool. So let's just start with Hat Robot. Where does that name come from? What does it mean? What is that?
Yeah, so Hat Robot, essentially when I was in high school, I wrote a comic zine called Hat that I would produce and sell to my friends for $2 a piece. And so then later when I started my website, it became Hat Robot. But I've kind of always been under the impression that rather than the name creating the product, the product creates the name. And so Hat Robot is essentially synonymous with my artwork, and the same way that Pepsi, I'm sure it has its origins, but the word Pepsi doesn't mean anything if it's not associated with the drink. So I like to think that Hat Robot is my work.
And for as long as I've known you, that kind of seemed to be, not Hat Robot, but we always called you Robot, growing up. So, I've always liked that name. So, have you, you've been around, and, Comic-Con's been around for a while. Have people been recognizing your work and recognizing you as things have been going?
I think I'm represented by the Hive Gallery, and my illustration name is Hat Robot, and I'm Chris Bodily. So, depending on who the person is and how they know me, then as long as they're seeing my artwork and they're enjoying it, then I'm satisfied. But yeah, I think there's been some great exposure lately. It's fun to go someplace and see your own artwork pop up in a coffee shop that you're not expecting it to. So,
yeah, definitely.
Is it a call? You want to take a call?
Oh yeah, we got a caller.
Right.
Hey, thanks for calling in. What's your name?
My name is Jake.
Hey, Jake, how you doing? You have a question for Chris?
I do.
All right, go ahead.
Are you more of an Xbox One kind of guy or a PS4 kind of guy?
Well, right now I'm still an Xbox 360 kind of guy. But I love games, and so to pit one against the other seems, why not enjoy them all for all that they have to offer? So,
right.
Is that a way to sidestep the?
Yeah, it is. So do you play more of solo player games, or are you more online sort of thing?
I prefer to play by myself. I'm kind of a really competitive person, so so if I'm playing online against people and if I'm not good, then I'm just going to be upset, and then so I try and compete with myself when I'm gaming, things like that. So
gotcha.
Awesome. Well, great. Thank you and you said your name was Jake?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake, for calling us in, and we'll get in touch with you later, and thank you.
Not a problem.
Great. Well, awesome. Yeah, please keep those phone calls coming in. So you kind of already mentioned how your business got started, but tell me, and we kind of talked about Comic-Con, so tell me, what is your influences? What are stuff that you use to, because I've seen animals, I've seen old people, I've seen very pretty women, you kind of go in a really big range. What inspires you to draw?
I started out drawing when I was a kid, reading comic books and watching cartoons on TV, Scooby-Doo, He-Man, Ninja Turtles. And when Simpsons came out, I would record the episodes on VHS, nice. And then I would pause the episode and then draw the characters that I saw on the screen. So my style is very cartoony, but as I grew up, my work became a lot more loose, a lot more cathartic, a lot more emotionally driven, and so I still have that simple cartoon line work, but in a much more complex adult approach to it.
I think that's the best thing and I think that's the best description I've heard of like your art. Like that, everyone who's ever come to me and been like, oh, like how would you describe his art? I'm like, because it's so unique and it's so different. So I think that's the perfect description in my mind.
My rep over at the Hive Gallery likes to say that we specialize in the super cute and the super creepy at the same time. So
yeah, that's perfect.
I agree. I mean, I love your adorable, like, creepy monsters. One of my favorite prints of yours is the Count, and he's just like the Count from like the Muppet Sesame Street. He's like sucking the blood of another Muppet, and yeah, it's adorable and really morbid, but yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, my favorite print of yours is it's a shark, and he's like has like a suit on, and he's sitting down, and I think he's eating an ice cream or something, but he's like crying, and he's like wearing Converse, and like I don't know, I just love that. That's one of my favorite prints, and I really like when you draw people for some reason. Like I like the monsters too, but you draw like people. Like have you ever just like walked down the street and you're like, I'm gonna draw that guy or something like that? I don't know. What are you?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the great things about doing things the way that I do them. I'm freelance and I'm self-employed, so. Essentially, I draw whatever I'm feeling. If I listen to something on the radio or I read something interesting, any conversations that I have, all of that will feed into my work, and so I can kind of do whatever I want to do. And I think essentially because I'm doing it, it all ends up being part of my style in some way or another. So I don't limit myself to any one thing, but whatever I want to pursue, I can do that.
Awesome, and I love that. I love that you said that you're not. I don't like being limited, and I think art, when it's limited, it doesn't reach its full potential. So I love that you said that. That's like that.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I was very interested in knowing is, like, how do you get from a blank sheet of paper to the finished product? What do you use? What kind of artist tools, or is it digital? Do you just start with the finished image in your mind, or do you just start drawing?
Yeah, I think my artistic process may be very different from a lot of other artists because my work is very train of thought. I sit down and I just start drawing before I know what I'm doing. I just put down some lines, and as the image starts to form, then I figure out what it is that I'm drawing afterwards. So really, the information that I'm trying to get out through my art is all in the line work itself, not so much the image that I'm creating. And that maybe sounds like an artsy-fartsy approach, but I do everything I do. First of all, by hand with pen and ink, so that I can't erase my mistakes, so that I have to embrace everything that I do, and I have to incorporate it into the final image. And so after I do the line work by hand, then I'll scan it into my computer and color it with Photoshop. One, because Photoshop is a cheap way to color up your work. You don't have to pay for paints and things like that. And also, the type of work I do is not the type of thing that somebody would pay thousands of dollars for and hang above their fireplace. It's the type of work that's really popular with college kids and high school students and the lowbrow crowd. And so doing things that way, I can produce an image and I can make prints that I can make available to the type of people that are looking for my work.
Awesome. I really like that you mentioned you kind of already know the demographic of what you're trying to reach. Do you think that kind of influences? Because you don't seem ashamed of that kind of demographic. I mean, I'm that demographic. So I mean, what do you say is like what do you hope? And I don't know if I'm reading in too much of art per se, but what do you hope people take away from your art, and what do you hope? I mean, because that kind of generation seems, and like I said, I'm agreeing that I agree that demographic is like perfect for what you're going for. What do you hope that people take away from your art?
I think art can resonate in very different ways for any individual viewer, and so a kid can take away something very different than an adult that may have had similar experiences to me. But one of the great things about that the advent of the World Wide Web is that you can connect. My work is not for everybody, but it's not supposed to be. I do the type of work that I want to do that expresses who I am, but I can share it on a global scale and connect with that handful of people with whom my work resonates. And so I've had some. I've had some really powerful experiences from people who have really connected in an emotional way with my work, and that's just as satisfying as somebody who comes up and they think it's funny and they think it's cartoony, and so I think there's no right or wrong way to appreciate art. It's a visual internal type of process, and so as long as I get to continue to make the type of work that I want to make, that I can express myself in the ways that I want to express myself, the viewer is free to take away whatever experience they want from it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's really great because when you start trying to make something for someone, it kind of loses some of the soul behind it,
And there's a hard trade-off in the art world. I have to make sure that I'm paying the bills, and so if nobody liked my work, then I would have to do something about that. Yeah, there's one of my professors down at Southern Utah University. He said a Zen potter creates 1,000 pots, then destroys them all. Because by the 1,000th pot, he can create any one of those pots that he wanted, and that's kind of always been my big motto is that just create the work, and if it's good, great. If it's bad, great. But move on and continue to create, continue to grow, continue to produce, and so if I make something that people don't like, it's not a failure because I've been able to communicate what I wanted to communicate, and I've learned something new for the next piece that I do down the road.
Awesome. I get the privilege to say that I liked Chris Bodily before it was cool. So, but what was that moment that you kind of said, I want to take this art to the next level. I want to do this full time and for a living. When was that? What was that moment that made you decide that this is what you want to pursue as a career?
Well, in all honesty, so I've been doing art since I was a little kid. I've been trying to do art professionally for the last 15 years, but essentially I hit rock bottom, and full disclosure, I'm bipolar and I've got some mental health issues, but I had made a mess of my life, and my sister was taking care of me. I couldn't get a job at McDonald's, so I decided that why not put my energy into trying to make some money off my art, and so from there it just really picked up, and I think I needed that leap of faith moment. When I was doing art before, I had a job at a private boarding school teaching art and things like that, and so there was always other options and things like that. But when you hit that moment that you have to, you have nothing left to lose, then but it's changed my life, and it's made all the difference, because I would say the last 3 years have been my most successful years, and I make a good living that I'm able to support me and my family, and and I'm really happy that things came together the way that they did. So, but like on that same note, like one of my favorite painters of all time is Van Gogh, and he didn't reach any sort of success in his life, but his work is so powerful. When I saw Van Gogh for the first time in a museum, I started to cry because like I got it. Like you see a picture of Van Gogh, a print, and it doesn't really make sense, but you see it and you can see the impasto, and you can understand what went into that. And I think that's what art is all about, is putting your heart into your work.
Awesome. Well, we'll take a little break and we'll be right back. All right. Welcome back, everybody. I am Waddy McFly with
Arthur Kemp.
And we are here on Fringe Radio. Fringe Radio presents Game and Movie Empire Show. We are here today. We are interviewing Chris Bodily, who is a local artist and amazing person. And we were just talking about, what kind of got you started with your business. And you mentioned just, I loved what you mentioned. You just kind of mentioned you weren't, you didn't have, you were kind of at a rough patch in your life, and you turned. It's kind of funny because it seemed like it was there all along, and I just think it's awesome. To me, it's I don't want to, I don't mean to get deep here, but I've seen it happen a million times where it seems like tragedy, or when things don't go the way that we want to, it seems like those are when we get the best ideas. I don't know if that's just me. But, how do you feel like that has some, we don't need to get, any, deep into it, but, do you feel that has some kind of effect, just in art in general?
Yeah, I think what the most valuable aspect of my work is, I feel, is the honesty that I put into it. And I think people appreciate that honesty.
Definitely.
I think everyone has the whole gambit of experiences in their lives, and if you can create something that people relate to on a deep emotional level, it doesn't. My images aren't about being perfect or beautiful or completely polished. It's about getting at something deeper than just the surface.
Definitely.
Want to take a call?
Yeah, we got a call. Let's take a caller. Hello, caller. You're on AM 630.
Hey, guys. This is Bill in New York. How are you doing?
Hey, doing good, Bill. How about you? How's the weather over there?
Pretty cold. Actually, we had 8 inches of snow on Thanksgiving Eve, but it's calmed down a bit now.
Well, we'll take some of it. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I got a couple of questions for Chris.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Chris, have you ever been contacted or thought about collaborating with a tattoo artist for your work?
Oh, yeah. I design a lot of tattoos. I design a lot of CD covers, posters for bands, things like that. And so, really, as long as it's the type of work that I like to do, then I'm excited about trying new things and collaborating with different artists, in different fields as well. I've done some work with movies, and so yeah, I do tattoos.
Yeah, your tattoos would be awesome.
Yeah, I was just looking at his artwork. Really, some really cool, awesome stuff there.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
And also, did you ever think about maybe in the future creating a specific character and maybe turning that into like a comic strip or some type of series?
Yeah, my wife is actually a writer, and she, we talk all the time about putting together a comic book or a graphic novel or something to that effect. And that's actually when I went to school. That was one of my goals and my dreams, is to put together a story. But as of now, I've yet to. I did a comic for Hellskate. It's a horror roller derby comic or movie that's coming out. But yeah, someday I would like to make some graphic narratives like that.
You know why, Chris? Because you see all these cartoonish type of characters today. They seem kind of like, I mean, you look at Family Guy. I think something that you can do can take it to the next level as far as the artwork and the graphics.
Thank you.
Know what I mean?
I really appreciate
that.
that.
The perception of that. Because I always think, when I was looking at your stuff, the first thing that I was thinking in my head was, wow, like on a Ren and Stimpy kind of line. You know what I mean? Something more like hardcore, like a strip that people, maybe not, meant for adults that can get into, like a characterization, something more extreme.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That was when I was a kid. When I was about 13, I was really influenced by Acme Novelty Library by Chris Ware, and it was kind of that moment where I realized that he was using a very cartoony style, but he was exploring some really adult themes, and that was a real eye opener for me. So I would love to be able to. I'm really flattered that you would say that, and I would love to try something like that out sometime.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, and
Thank you.
like I said, I'm impressed by your artwork on your site.
Thank
and
you.
I think only good things are going to come your way in the future.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you.
Thanks for calling, my friend. Oh, go ahead.
Quick question for you guys.
Sure.
What's going on with the flight of flight sim games or space-based games? Because, like in the past, you had Ace Combat, you had Hawks, you even had the old Star Trek Legacy game, which was, I thought, a decent game for as far as a space kind of shoot-up game, even though it was Star Trek, but I thought it was great. And I think Star Trek needs to make better games for their movies. I mean, the last one was atrocious. So what do you think? Do you think the market is there for these type of games, or?
Well, one thing I want to say is I grew up on X-Wing and TIE Fighter, so those are like some really, really cool classic games. And there is some good news for you. There's a game called Star Citizen. It's being made by the creator of Wing Commander. Have you, by chance, heard of Wing Commander?
I actually own it.
Cool. So he crowdsourced this game. It's going to be coming out, I believe, this year. It's kind of being slowly released, like a bit at a time. But it looks, first of all, it's really beautiful, and it's supposed to be a very huge, expansive type of world that's kind of got cooperative play and stuff like that. So there's definitely a market for it. Lots and lots and lots of people paid money to help support this game. It's definitely still alive and kicking, I would say.
Oh, good, because I've been kind of like upset with the lack of these games, because like right now I had to tell you I'm very busy with the internet and involved with the shows and all that stuff, but now I'm finding a little downtime, and I just started playing Alien Isolation.
Awesome.
So it's a good, intense game. I find it a little slow at times. It's a slow-paced kind of game, but it's more like a role-playing game. But, it'd be nice to have more of a shooter-type game in space. You have all these role-playing games like Dead Space, and another series that lacked was, oh my God, the Resident Evil series.
Yeah.
You would think they would bounce back. The last couple were shaky. Not like the ones back in the day.
No, definitely. Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems with video games nowadays is that they just keep making more and more of the same video game and getting less and less about the story and the game mechanics, and it's just not as fun as they need to. We need some more original, fun type games like you've been saying.
I agree. Well, guys, it's a pleasure, and I'm glad that you guys are having the show now, along with Pat there. And I wish you guys the best of luck, and I'll speak to you guys in the future. And Chris, Good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
have a good night, guys.
Take care, my friend. Good night.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bill. We'll hopefully get a call from you later.
Awesome. So, we need to look at our next question. Our next question is...
So, Chris, let's talk about some of your favorite things to draw. Do you have favorite things to draw?
My favorite things to draw? I end up drawing a lot of cats. I don't know if that's because that's the only person not person, that's the only thing that I'm around all day is my cat. But yeah, there's a poster of wet cats there. But yeah, I don't know. I draw a lot of monsters. I think, like I said, I mean, because the lines inform the image rather than the image informing the lines. I think whatever's in my subconscious ends up coming out into the images. So, but also I'm always trying to expand and figure out new ways to approach things. I'm still continually learning, and I try other styles. I try learning new techniques. So yeah, I think I think if there's something that I'm afraid of drawing, then that's what I should be drawing, because that's the only way that I'm going to learn. That's the only way I'm going to get better. So
I had a question come in for you, Chris.
Yeah.
Our good friend RW in California writes in, says, Chris, have you ever felt like your art has been channeled in some way?
Channeled?
Well, I mean, we talk. I think when we talk about channel, we think about paranormal and stuff like that. But from an outside influence, an outside source, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, in the sense that there's a million different influences all around at any given time that feed into what you might be feeling or thinking at any given moment. And so my work is very, very train of thought, very it's almost like a psychological snap, or like a photo of how I might be feeling at any given time. So as far as channeling, I guess in that sense, I'm pretty skeptical about a lot of things as far as higher powers or things like that. But I know that there's outside forces that or outside influences that influence my work. So,
you guys want to take another call?
Please do. Hello, caller. You're on AM 630.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
Going great. How are you? What's your name?
Good. Hey, my name is Susie.
Okay.
Hello, Susie.
How's it going, Chris?
It's going great.
Well, good. Hey, I'm a new listener, and I want you guys to know you guys are doing an awesome job tonight.
Thank you.
This is just killer. I knew that you guys were going to be on. I kind of got word of it by way of Facebook, and I always love to hear new talent on the talk radio, and so I'm a big follower of all the different gigs you guys do, and so it's been really cool to see you guys spread out to talk radio and stuff. So
Awesome.
Way to go, you guys. This is exciting.
Thank you.
Chris, hey, I just kind of have a random question. I've got kids that play your, are interested in your work and things like that, and so we've kind of talked about this and wondered what your favorite TV show was.
Oh, my favorite TV show now or when I was a kid?
Well, how about when you were a kid? Let's start there.
Oh, I mean, I was pretty much raised by cartoons. So, before I'd go to school, I'd watch the Flintstones and Scooby-Doo, and then I'd come home from school and I'd watch. I loved the Ninja Turtles. I loved He-Man. I loved The Simpsons were a big influence. Batman, the animated series,
Nice.
when that came home, I would run home from school to see Batman. And
Did you ever watch Animaniacs at all?
Oh, I loved Animaniacs.
Okay. I just got to say, love Animaniacs.
Tiny Toons, Animaniacs. I would try and digest as much, as many cartoons as I could. And when my sister used to run a used bookstore, and so when that closed down, I inherited the comic book collection from the bookstore, and
Lucky.
so I would read through all the given titles that I had just back to back, and then try and draw the characters from the comic book. So, I think there's a lot of really great shows out there. Even now, I'll watch cartoons with my nephew, and there's some really fun ones. I'm pretty stoked on Avatar, and
Have you ever seen Adventure Time?
oh yeah, I
Love Adventure Time.
I love Adventure Time. It's good stuff. So, but yeah, I think cartoons are great for kids, and
Yeah.
and so what are your kids' favorite shows?
Well, my kids are into all of that stuff too, and as they've gotten older and things, they've branched off and watched all kinds of different stuff. But I really have some kids who are like in middle school age, and they're really. I have one in particular who is super interested in drawing, and he really is the one who I've noticed has the most just natural talent for it and stuff. And so I kind of wondered if maybe you could recommend some things that you might think a middle school age kid, I mean, he's about 14 years old, and can you recommend some things that maybe a kid that age would be able to get into now to where, would keep his interest in art and in, developing that talent. He talks about when he grows up that he wants to do those kind of things like what you're doing. And so maybe you can give him some advice there sitting here with me too. Can you just kind of give him some advice as far as what he can do to keep that talent and maybe develop that talent even more to help him, go in that direction that you have and hopefully be successful.
That's a good question.
I think the thing is just draw all the time, and do it because you love it. Do the type of work that you want to do, and don't worry about whether it's whether every piece you do is perfect or not, because you're not doing it to the process of drawing is for the sake of drawing, and the more you do it, just logging all those hours is what's going to pay off in the end of being able to do any type of work that you want to do. And anytime that you see a style that, if you see a cartoon show that you like the characters, then figure out, what is it that make those characters who they are, and break it down into its component parts and figure out, okay, well, if I were to do something like this, but take it in my own direction, in my own style, what is it about these that I'm drawn to?